King Charles just stopped Starmer right in the middle of Parliament. What happened next caused the biggest problem Britain has had with its government in 300 years. Secret papers that came out just minutes ago could end Starmer's job by tonight. If you want to know how this shocking story ends, click that subscribe button right now, because what I'm going to tell you will really surprise you. Here's what started all this chaos. This morning at 11:47, Keir Starmer stood in front of the House of Commons to present his new democracy reform bill. His plan was clear: take away hundreds of years of royal tradition, make the monarchy just for show, and give all the power to Parliament. The bill was harsh. One part would make King Charles ask Parliament before meeting leaders from other countries. Another part would make the king get his speeches approved by the government first. One section, hidden deep in the bill, would let Parliament overrule the king's decisions with a simple vote. But Charles didn't let this happen. The king fought back in a way nobody expected. At exactly 11:52, while Starmer was still talking, the doors of the House of Commons burst open. The Lord Chamberlain himself, Lord Parker, walked in carrying a sealed envelope with the royal symbol on it. The whole room went silent. All the members of Parliament froze. Even the Speaker of the House looked shocked. Lord Parker walked straight to Starmer, handed him the envelope, turned around, and walked out without saying one word. This moment was crushing. The way it looked was terrible, and what was inside that envelope destroyed everything Starmer had been working on. Starmer's hands shook as he opened the seal. People inside Westminster say his face turned white as he read the first paragraph. His lips moved without sound, his jaw got tight, and then he did something no Prime Minister has done in a very long time. He folded the letter, put it in his jacket pocket, and walked out of the room without finishing his speech. The silence was so loud you could feel it. Conservative members erupted in chaos. Labour members just sat there, unable to move. Within minutes, everyone in Britain knew what the letter said. King Charles had used a constitutional power so old that most legal experts thought it didn't really matter anymore. But it did matter. The king's message was crystal clear. Any attempt to reduce the monarchy's role without asking the British people first breaks the ancient agreement between the Crown and Parliament. He said he couldn't approve legislation that changes Britain's government without the people's consent. Translation: Starmer's bill was dead, and the Prime Minister just got embarrassed by his own king. But wait, there's more that makes this even more explosive. History experts immediately pointed out that Charles didn't just refuse the bill. He basically said that Parliament itself had gone too far. Professor Dame Margaret Whitworth from the London School of Economics called it the biggest use of royal power since 1708. The king isn't just saying no to this law, she explained on BBC News. He's reminding Parliament that big constitutional changes need the people's permission through a vote. It's like using a nuclear option, and Charles just pressed the button. Think about what this means. For 300 years, the monarchy has approved whatever Parliament decided. That agreement just broke, and the results are shocking. Meanwhile, British veterans who fought for this country and sacrificed everything for the crown are watching their Prime Minister try to tear down the very thing they swore to protect. James Richardson, a 72-year-old veteran from Portsmouth, was at his local pub when the news broke. His reaction, captured on video and now seen by 1.8 million people, says it all. I didn't fight in those battles so some politician could tear down 300 years of tradition because it doesn't fit his plan, Richardson said, his voice breaking. The crown isn't just ceremony, it's the backbone that holds this nation together. And Starmer just tried to break it in half. Across Britain, veteran groups are taking action. The Royal British Legion made a rare political statement condemning the democracy reform bill. Military chat groups are exploding with anger. These are men and women who understand order, tradition, and duty. They watched Starmer attack all three in one morning. While veterans struggle with bad health care, while elderly people have to choose between heat and food, while working-class Britons struggle with high costs of living, Starmer spent his energy trying to embarrass the monarchy. The difference is so stark and so offensive that even lifelong Labour supporters are questioning their loyalty. Margaret Evans, a 64-year-old retired nurse from Cardiff who voted Labour in every election since 1979, recorded a tearful video that's gone viral. "This isn't the Labour Party I know," she said. "This isn't fighting for working people. This is ego. This is revenge. And it's disgusting." Her video has been shared 340,000 times. The comments section is filled with similar stories. All lifelong Labour voters, all feeling betrayed, all switching their support away from a party they thought stood for their values. The divide between generations is particularly brutal. Britain's older voters, Labour's traditional base, are leaving the party in record numbers. A quick poll done between 1 and 4 p.m. showed that among voters aged 55 to 70, Labour support dropped by 19 percentage points in a single afternoon. These aren't casual voters. These are people who remember old Labour leaders, who lived through history, who stuck with Labour through good times and bad. And Starmer just lost them by attacking the one institution they hold most sacred, the Crown. Then, something happened that nobody saw coming, and it changed everything. At 2:15 p.m., King Charles made an unannounced visit to the Royal Hospital Chelsea, home to veteran pensioners who dedicated their lives to the Crown and country. No press warning, no advance notice. Just the king showing up to have tea with the very people Starmer's policies have abandoned. The symbolism was devastating. While Starmer hid in his office nursing his wounds, Charles sat with 87-year-old George Mitchell, a D-Day veteran, and listened to his stories for 45 minutes. Cameras that happened to be there captured every moment. Charles leaning in close, laughing at old war stories, placing his hand on George's shoulder as tears rolled down the veteran's cheek. "Your Majesty reminded me why we fought," George said afterward, his voice steady despite his emotion. Not for politicians, not for parties, but for something bigger than all of us. For tradition, for stability, for the Crown. Within 2 hours, the footage had 12 million views on social media. The message was clear without Charles saying a word. The monarchy stands with the people. Starmer stands alone. Palace insiders reveal that Charles has been planning this moment for weeks, ever since he learned about Starmer's democracy reform bill. Senior advisors close to the king confirm he views this as the defining moment of his reign. Charles believes the monarchy must occasionally remind Parliament that power ultimately comes from the people, not from Westminster, one source explained. This isn't about power. It's about protecting British constitutional tradition from short-sighted politicians who think they can rewrite history. The optics are absolutely devastating for Starmer. While the king honors veterans, the Prime Minister plots against the Crown. While Charles connects with ordinary Britons, Starmer schemes behind closed doors. The contrast couldn't be more brutal. And here's where it gets really interesting. Sources inside Buckingham Palace reveal that Charles personally wrote every word of that letter to Starmer. No advisors, no lawyers, no committee drafts, just the king alone in his study at 3 a.m. last night, writing the most important constitutional document of his reign. One palace aide who saw early drafts described them as getting progressively stronger with each revision. His Majesty wasn't angry, the source said. He was determined. He kept saying, if not now, when? If not me, who? He understood how important what he was doing was, but he also understood it was necessary. That detail matters enormously because it proves this wasn't just a standard response. It was personal, it was deliberate, and it was carefully planned to have maximum impact. The backlash hit like a tsunami. Within 90 minutes of the king's letter reaching Parliament, Britain's financial markets shook. The FTSE 100 dropped 340 points, wiping out $18 billion. The pound fell to its lowest level against the dollar in 8 months. Investment analysts warned that money might leave Britain if this uncertainty continued. International investors don't care about political drama, but they care deeply about stability. And Starmer just destroyed Britain's reputation for stable government in a single morning. Inside the Labour Party, people immediately turned on each other. Shadow cabinet chat groups changed from steady the ship to stop Starmer now. Transport Secretary Louise Hay, who stayed quiet during previous controversies, posted a cryptic tweet at 3:47 p.m. Tradition matters, stability matters, judgment matters. Political insiders immediately understood. It wasn't support. It was a resignation letter waiting to happen. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, Starmer's closest ally, canceled her scheduled BBC interview and disappeared into emergency meetings. Sources describe her as furious, not at the king, but at Starmer for walking into this disaster without consulting his cabinet. He just handed Reform UK the next election on a silver platter, one minister said off the record. We're finished. On social media, hashtags exploded worldwide. Defend the Crown trended #1 globally for 7 straight hours. Stop Starmer hit 890,000 tweets in 90 minutes. Even celebrities got involved. British actors, musicians, and sports stars posted Union Jacks with simple captions, "Stand with the King." The cultural tide had turned completely. Polls conducted right after showed catastrophic numbers for Labour. A Snap YouGov survey of 2,800 voters revealed 71% believed Starmer overstepped his authority. Even among Labour voters, only 39% supported the democracy reform bill. More devastating still, 68% of people said they trusted King Charles more than Keir Starmer to protect British interests. That's not a political defeat. That's complete destruction. When your own voters trust an unelected monarch more than you, your credibility as a democratic leader is finished. But wait, because the international side makes this even worse for Starmer. At 5:30 p.m., secret messages began leaking from foreign embassies in London. The French ambassador reportedly told Paris that Britain was experiencing chaos not seen since 1936. The German Foreign Ministry warned that the UK could no longer be considered a reliable partner for long-term planning. Even the American ambassador was overheard at a Westminster reception, saying that Washington was deeply concerned about British governance. These aren't just diplomatic pleasantries. These are allies questioning whether Britain can be trusted, and that reputation damage will take years, maybe decades, to repair. Inside 10 Downing Street, witnesses describe complete panic. Aides were running between offices. Senior advisors shouted conflicting instructions. Press officers fielded hundreds of media calls with no clear message. And at the center of the chaos sat Keir Starmer, alone in his office, staring at that royal letter. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner allegedly stormed into his office at 4:20 p.m. for what insiders call the most brutal fight of Starmer's time as Prime Minister. Raised voices echoed through the hallways. "You've destroyed us!" Rayner reportedly screamed. 50 years of Labour credibility gone because you couldn't control your ego. Starmer's response, according to multiple sources, was chilling. "The monarchy is outdated. If Labour can't modernize Britain, we deserve to lose." That exchange leaked to 3 separate journalists within hours and confirmed what everyone already suspected. Starmer wasn't backing down. He was doubling down. Cabinet ministers began working their own channels. Yvette Cooper met privately with backbench MPs at a Westminster coffee shop. Wes Streeting took calls from party donors worried about the next election. David Lammy reached out to international allies to reassure them that Britain wasn't collapsing. Nobody was defending the Prime Minister anymore. They were defending themselves. Chat groups that started as policy discussions transformed into plans to challenge his leadership. Names circulated as potential replacements: Angela Rayner, Rachel Reeves, Yvette Cooper. Even Ed Miliband's name resurfaced. The question wasn't if they'd move against Starmer. It was which of them would strike first. Veteran MP Diane Abbott gave an interview at 6:30 p.m. that will be remembered for years. "I've survived every Labour civil war since the 1980s, she said grimly. "I've never seen a leader self-destruct this spectacularly." Starmer didn't just lose this battle. He lost the war. The cabinet was fracturing in real time. The party was in freefall, and Starmer, isolated and defiant, was becoming the most dangerous kind of politician, one with nothing left to lose. But here's the part that could end everything. Leaked documents obtained by The Telegraph at 7:15 p.m. reveal something nobody was prepared for. Internal Labour strategy memos from 3 weeks ago show that Starmer's team knew exactly how explosive the democracy reform bill would be. They knew the king would oppose it. They knew the public would reject it. And they did it anyway. Why? According to the documents, Starmer's inner circle believed that forcing a constitutional crisis would position Labour as the party of modern democracy against outdated royal privilege. They thought they could win a culture war against the monarchy. The memo's exact wording is chilling. Public confrontation with an unelected hereditary institution will energize our progressive base and expose conservative deference to outdated tradition. Think about what that means. This wasn't a political mistake, it was a deliberate provocation. Starmer didn't stumble into this crisis, he engineered it. And now that it's blown up in his face, he has no exit strategy. If these documents are real, and multiple sources confirm they are, then Starmer knowingly sacrificed Labour's electoral chances to wage ideological war against the crown. The optics of that are absolutely devastating. Every Labour MP facing re-election just got handed a poison pill they can't escape. Constitutional experts are calling it political malpractice. You don't pick fights with institutions that have 70% approval ratings, said Professor Michael Hartley of Cambridge. You especially don't do it when your own approval is underwater. This is scorched earth politics, and Starmer just burned down his own party. The leaked memo goes even further. Page 7 contains a section titled Acceptable Losses that coldly calculates how many voters Labour could afford to alienate in pursuit of constitutional reform. The number they settled on, 12%. They thought they could lose 12% of Labour voters and still maintain a governing majority. But the reality is catastrophic. Current polling suggests they've lost nearly 18% of their support in less than 12 hours. The strategic miscalculation is so huge that political analysts are genuinely questioning how professionals could get it this wrong. This will be taught in universities as a case study in political hubris, said Dr. Catherine Reynolds from University College London. They assumed the public would follow Labour's lead on constitutional reform. Instead, the public reminded Labour who's actually in charge. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage and Reform UK are celebrating like they've already won the next election. And they might have. At a hastily organized press conference at 8 p.m., Farage stood before a massive Union Jack and delivered what many are calling the speech of his career. While others attack our traditions, we defend them, he declared, his voice steady and confident. While others wage war on the crown, we remember what makes Britain great. The monarchy isn't just ceremony, it's the thread that connects us to our history, our values, and each other. No shouting, no mockery, no theatrical rage, just calm, unwavering patriotism delivered with devastating precision. The contrast with Starmer's chaos couldn't be more stark. Reform UK looked like the adults in the room, while Labour looked like children throwing tantrums. The results came fast. Reform UK's membership applications crashed their website within 20 minutes of Farage's speech. Donation platforms reported $890,000 in contributions before midnight. Local offices reported hundreds of former Labour supporters switching allegiances. For the first time in British political history, Reform UK wasn't just a protest movement or a fringe party. They were a legitimate threat to win actual power. The latest polling data released at 9:30 p.m. by Ipsos Mori confirmed the earthquake. Conservatives holding steady at 33%, Labour collapsing to 24%, and Reform UK surging to an unprecedented 26%. A genuine three-way race, a fractured electorate, and a nation divided like never before. Farage didn't just capitalize on Starmer's disaster, he positioned Reform UK as the defenders of everything Starmer attacked: tradition, stability, and respect for constitutional monarchy. The symbolism was perfect. The timing was devastating, and Labour had no response. Behind the scenes, Reform UK strategists are already planning their general election campaign around this single issue. Sources inside Reform headquarters reveal they're developing attack ads featuring Starmer's letter from the King alongside footage of Charles with veterans. The tagline, "Who do you trust with Britain's future?" It's brutally effective, and Labour has no counter-narrative. But there's another player in this drama who's been working quietly in the shadows: the Conservative Party. While Starmer imploded and Farage celebrated, Conservative leader Rishi Sunak spent the afternoon in careful, calculated meetings with moderate Labour MPs. Yes, you heard that right. Sunak is recruiting Labour's talent while the party tears itself apart. At least 5 Labour backbenchers have taken meetings with Conservative whips in the past 6 hours. The pitch is simple. Labour has abandoned British values. We're offering you a home where tradition still matters. It's a stunning reversal. Conservatives aren't just watching Labour's collapse, they're actively speeding it up by offering defectors a lifeline. The next 72 hours are critical, perhaps the most critical in modern British political history. Emergency Labour Party meetings are scheduled for tomorrow morning. At least 40 backbench MPs have privately said they'll demand Starmer's resignation if he doesn't withdraw the Democracy Reform Bill immediately. Senior cabinet ministers are positioning themselves for leadership challenges. The party isn't just divided anymore, it's preparing for civil war. International reactions are pouring in, and they're uniformly brutal. In Ottawa, the Canadian Prime Minister's office issued a statement praising constitutional monarchy as essential to Westminster democracy, a barely veiled criticism of Starmer's overreach. In Canberra, Australian opposition leaders called the situation a cautionary tale about political hubris. Even in Washington, where Americans typically stay out of Commonwealth affairs, State Department officials expressed concern about Britain's stability. Britain's reputation as a model of political stability just evaporated overnight. This crisis will be studied in political science classes for decades as a masterclass in how not to govern. And at its center stands Starmer, increasingly isolated, increasingly defiant, increasingly finished. Could he survive a vote of no confidence? Constitutional experts say it's unlikely. His own party is abandoning him. His approval ratings are in freefall. And King Charles, without saying another public word, has won the battle for British public opinion. The crown looks dignified. Starmer looks desperate. Tradition defeated modernization, and Britain chose its king over its prime minister. There are rumors, unconfirmed but persistent, that Starmer is considering an emergency television address to the nation. Sources suggest he wants to explain his position directly to the British people, bypassing the media and his own party. But advisors are warning him that such a move could backfire spectacularly. The more he talks, the worse it gets. One senior strategist said anonymously, "Right now, silence might be his only hope of surviving the weekend." But Starmer has never been good at staying quiet. His legal background trained him to argue, to fight, to never back down. And that instinct might be what ultimately destroys him. So here's the question that matters. Did Keir Starmer just commit political suicide? Did King Charles just prove the monarchy is more powerful than Parliament? And could Nigel Farage actually become the next Prime Minister of Britain? What you think happens next? Does Starmer resign by the weekend? Or does he cling to power and drag Labour down with him? Does the Conservative Party use this moment to rebuild? Or does Reform UK ride this wave all the way to Downing Street? Drop your answer in the comments below. We read every single one, and your insights matter. And if this constitutional crisis shocked you as much as it shocked us, share this video with everyone who needs to understand what's really happening in Westminster right now. The mainstream media won't tell you the full truth, but we will. Hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we're revealing the leaked WhatsApp messages from inside Starmer's cabinet that prove this disaster was even worse than anyone imagined. We've got screenshots, we've got names, we've got the evidence that shows exactly who knew what and when they knew it. The next 24 hours could change Britain forever, and you're going to want to see every moment of what happens next.